As far as minimalism or like being more simplified in my home, in fact, a lot of people have actually reached out to me to be like, where should I start? Like, what's the first place I should start? Well, hello everyone. I'm so glad you stopped by my channel today for this video, which is a Q&A. I haven't done one of these in a while, and I've gotten a lot of comments and messages and questions lately asking things about my life in general. I have a lot of new faces here who want to get to know me a little bit better and hear a little bit more of my story. And then I have a lot of comments and questions and DMs asking for advice when it comes to minimalism, organization, decluttering, simple living, all that stuff that I love to share on a regular basis. So if you are new here, then welcome. My name is Natalie, if you didn't figure that out already, and I love making videos just about that. Simple, intentional living, my life as a mom, and that minimalism can be approachable and achievable for anyone. It doesn't have to be this scary, sterile sort of lifestyle. My husband and I got rid of over 80% of our family stuff in this last year, and we've adopted family minimalism for this household, and it has absolutely changed our lives. So I love sharing that with you guys, along with some encouragement as you go about your own life. So if that sounds good, be sure to subscribe and turn that bell button on to not miss future videos from me. Do you want to know what I'm drinking today? This is a pistachio cream iced latte. It's the dupe for the Starbucks drink that's really popular right now, and I actually shared this recipe in the last video that went up on my channel. So I will link that below, along with part 2 to this video, because there's a lot of questions here, and if you know me, I get a little chatty. So if part 2 is up by the time you're watching this, it will be linked in the description box, so you can go watch that next. And before I hop into a question and help you get to know me a little bit better, I would love to get to know you. So introduce yourself in the comments. If you've been here since the very beginning, or if you're one of my newer viewers, I would love to get to know you a little bit better. Tell me a fun fact about yourself. This is a really good question, so we'll just start with this one. Have you had any pushback from friends or family as you have transitioned into a minimal, simple living? It seems if I show any sign of simple living, some of my family take it as an attack on their lifestyle. So I personally haven't received too much pushback. There have been a couple of friends, not necessarily family members of mine, a couple of friends of mine that when I've mentioned it to them, or they've mentioned seeing one of my messy to minimal videos, or that I've been posting about minimalism, they've kind of, squinted their eyes a little bit and been like, what's that all about? I feel like this happens a lot when you are making a positive change for yourself. It can make people feel really uncomfortable with themselves. So just to frame it in a more realistic way, when people are starting to get defensive or feel like the choices that you're making for yourself is an attack on them, it's really not about you. And this is something that I've had to tell myself when it comes to health, like healthy living, or back when I was lifting weights very regularly and really working out, and I just loved it so much during the summertime. I had a couple of family members and some friends really scrutinize the fact that I was making this positive change in my life, and so they felt like it was more of a personal attack, and they started to get defensive about themselves. Now, I haven't specifically experienced that as far as minimalism or like being more simplified in my home. In fact, a lot of people have actually reached out to me to be like, hey, can you help me? Because this looks so great for you, and I've seen what a positive change it's made for you. I would love some tips and advice that you can send my way. So I think with anything, if you're getting some of that pushback, that it probably is an issue with the person's heart, not necessarily that you're doing something wrong. But it's always great to check in on that. And if you feel like it's really an issue, then maybe just checking in with them and saying, hey, have I done something to offend you? It seems like you're uncomfortable whenever I talk about this or that. Then maybe that can open up the conversation and some reconciliation can happen, and you might be perceiving it wrong sometimes. We got to be open to that as well. Minimalism. Did you find it hard in the beginning? I didn't find having less stuff difficult in the beginning. I actually feel like I quickly learned the relief that it gave my heart and just the amount of time that it gave me back in my day. And instead of having it be a negative or like a difficult experience that I had to like learn and get through when I was dealing with less stuff in my house, I feel like it was only positive. Because I've shared this in a video before, which I'll link in the description box, where I kind of went through all of these lessons that I learned in the year of becoming a minimalist. And doing huge declutters. I talk in that video about the benefits of minimalism, and it was clear to me literally from day one as I started paring down my items and really getting to what I just use on a daily or weekly basis. So I know a lot of people feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to regret getting rid of things, or I'm going to miss stuff. And in that video, I talk about how I literally don't miss a single thing that I've decluttered. Out of 80%, over 80% of the stuff that I've gotten rid of in my house, there's nothing that I miss, and I've only reaped benefits from minimalism. And that's not now, a year later, that's from day one. It was already starting to show. How are you doing? How is your health? Thank you for asking that question. I've actually had a few of those questions. If you're new here, I've gone through chronic health issues for the past 6 years or so, like ever since becoming a mom, but I also had little issues before then as well for my whole life. And in the past few years, it just got worse and worse. I lost a ton of weight. I was violently ill every single day. The doctors really were trying to figure out what was going on. I got diagnosed with a horrible bacteria infection, which was really difficult to kick. And then I was feeling better for about 18 months. Then I got a flare-up again, but it wasn't actually that same infection. It was just more symptoms that had come as a result of everything that I had been through with my gut health and my health history. I'm not going to go into every little detail now because it's a long history, but I am in a state right now where I have learned to manage, and I am doing a lot better. I've gained weight back, which I'm really, really happy about, and I now have a new diagnosis that kind of is the overarching diagnosis for all the different little things that I experience, and that is abdominal migraine, which is not very common in adults. It's definitely more of a childhood thing. In my childhood, I had like actual classic head migraines, and now I get them in my abdomen, which sucks. It's horrible. And I have really good days and really bad days. More good days now than bad. So I am functioning pretty well, and I am able to hold on to some good weight. But I'm learning more and more, and I'm seeing a neurologist soon to try to figure out if there's something that we can do to help, because it is a neurological thing, not a digestive thing. So I feel like I'm on the right path, because I saw so many different doctors that just didn't know what the heck was going on, and now I do have a diagnosis, so that helps very much. What would you be doing if you didn't do YouTube? I would be a stay-at-home homeschooling mom. I don't have a teacher's degree, but I have worked as a private tutor because I love teaching, and I have some book smarts, and I love working with people, so it would probably be something in that capacity, and of course, like, first and foremost, being a mom. I love it so much, and I love that I can have a career doing YouTube and being a content creator, along with the things that I always dreamed that I could do. I'm so, so grateful for where God has led me in my life, and from what's come out of years upon years of really, really hard work and dedication. What is the most life-changing decluttering project you've done so far? Oh, that's a really good question. With each Messy to Minimal episode, I felt like, no, this is the most satisfying. Wait, this is the best one that I've done. This is the most life-changing project. Like, it just got better and better as I went. But I would say the thing that has made the most difference as far as our whole house, like what project affected the most, was getting our kitchen under control. And I actually have a couple of episodes in the Messy to Minimal series where I'm actively decluttering my kitchen, and I show you the process that I go through. And then I also have in my new series called Tips for Tidy, where I share with you my top 10 tips for keeping your kitchen clutter-free and the things that have totally changed the game for me. I talk about this all the time. I wanted to start in the kitchen because it's the heart of the home. When the kitchen is under control, I feel like the rest of the house kind of falls falls into place. And I knew that even if I got my kitchen under control, if the rest of the house was still cluttered and had too much stuff in it, I would at least be able to get dinner on the table and clean up my dishes every day. And that was really important to me. So I'm really glad I started in my kitchen. I've seen other questions here saying, where should I start? Like, what's the first place I should start? And I would say, especially if you have children and you're making multiple meals a day from your kitchen, the kitchen is a really good place to start. I think second to that would be your wardrobe. It's really, really helpful. We don't realize how much our clothing collection impacts our daily life, but it really, really does. And when you get that simplified, I'm not saying you have to have a capsule wardrobe and only own 10 pieces, but when you really get it under control, it can help your life so much. I'd love to hear Weston's side of all your minimalism changes. There are a ton of questions. I would say the number one asked question here has to do with spouses and decluttering, what Weston thinks, what his journey has been like. And I was actually just talking to Weston before I even asked you guys for questions for this Q&A. I was saying, hey, you want to sit down with me and film a Q&A about this and just give Weston a chance to really share his heart, and for us as a couple to kind of share some tips and advice for those of you looking to get your spouse on board, or anything like that, or your mom if you live with your mom or something like that. So I want to film that video. Weston's work schedule is a bit crazy right now, so hopefully we will be able to do that in February. That is the goal, so stay tuned for that. What is your best advice for the maintenance of minimalism? Mindset, habits, self-discipline, all of the above. Mindset, habits, self-discipline, those definitely factor into how we continue to maintain a simplified space. Stuff is always coming into our house, even if we are on a very strict budget or we consider ourselves to be really low income. There is still stuff entering our house. People give us things, stuff is sent to us in the mail, and so because we have that constant influx, we are always having to do this maintenance of either one in, one out, or going through things regularly to continue to keep the space simplified. And this, it really, really plays into daily habits for me personally. For me, daily habits are where it's at. Kind of like the whole idea of atomic habits, which I've shared before. That book by James Clear is absolutely a gold mine of wisdom. And for me, if I don't stay on top of the daily tasks, then the weekly stuff certainly never gets done. I literally never forget to make my bed. I never forget to unload the dishwasher in the morning or to pick up the toys at the end of the day. But I will often forget to scrub the bathroom on the weekly cleaning day for scrubbing the bathroom. And that's something that I feel like I'm learning and I'm growing in, and I'm learning little tips and tricks for myself as I go, and I'm building those habits. But if you focus on the day to day, I feel like you are setting yourself up for small wins, which compound in the end, because as you move, you're always making progress. If you wait until you can do a big project, at the end of the month when you have a trailer available, then you might not be as willing to just jump on it and go because it feels so daunting and so big. But if once a day you set a 10-minute timer and you just quickly, like Easter egg hunt style, or like that 21 item pickup routine sort of thing that you've seen, just go and grab the stuff that you can find immediately. Any progress, however small, is still progress toward that goal. So that's the best advice that I have for you as far as like maintaining a more simplified or minimalist lifestyle, but I could make a whole video about that. As you can tell, I'm chatty. What mattress do you use for Haley? My son is almost 2 and I'm looking to improve his sleep. So my daughter Haley, she sleeps on a twin mattress from Lowell. All of us in this house actually sleep on Lowell mattresses. I have been blessed to be able to work with them in the past. They're obviously not sponsoring this video. I might still have a link or a code for them, so if I do, I will put it in the description box for you guys. But we adore our Lowell mattresses. We got the boys in them when they were about 3 when we first moved into this house, and then Haley, right before she turned 3, we switched her into a twin bed from her crib that was turned into a toddler bed, and her sleep improved so much after we did that. What is the most challenging part of your day, and how do you help your kids get through it? Mama of 2 toddlers here and could use some tips. Love your vids. Oh, you're so sweet. 2 toddlers. I've been there. That is a rough part of motherhood sometimes, because you have big personalities but not a lot of logic going on in that situation. So it does get easier as they get older, I will say that. For me, the most challenging part of my day is probably the morning. I am not particularly a morning person. I don't like getting up early, and it's something that I've always wanted to really solidify in my life. And I feel like I'm missing out on just this golden ticket of opportunity to be up. So when my kids are up, when it's still dark outside, especially here in the Pacific Northwest, it's really dark in the morning. And I am just not ready to crack my eyes open, especially if I've stayed up late editing videos, because I do try to work when they're asleep, or having quiet time during the day. So I will stay up a little bit later than what is conducive to an early riser. It's really challenging for me to just go into full mom mode and get butts wiped and breakfast on the table, and it's definitely a challenge for me. Afternoons used to be the most challenging part, because I feel like that was our witching hour for our kids. It is like that hunger right before dinner time, but I'm not quite ready to have it on the table. I'm waiting for my husband to get home to give me some support and reinforcement, and things are a little bit crazy, or they're overtired, especially during that time of life where they've dropped. Like, we don't nap. There's no naps that happen in this house. And that was really challenging to get through those seasons. The lighting in here is crazy. I have the sun shining right through, and it's creating lines on my shirt from my blinds over there. Oh well, I keep trying to adjust my lighting so that it isn't crazy. Is there any space in your home you'd like to renovate or reorganize? As far as reorganization or like decluttering goes, because I've seen a couple messages saying, is there a spot in your house that just continues to get unorganized and cluttery? And that is my bathroom. My master bathroom under the sink, I still have too much stuff under there. It's really frustrating, especially because I do work in social media, and so brands send me things sometimes. I've tried to get off of PR lists, but things still show up at my door. As far as like renovations go, I would like to replace the vanities in both of our bathrooms. They're super outdated, and they're not very functional. The sinks are ugly, and that's something that we've wanted to do since we moved in here, and I think it would be great for potential buyers someday when we'd like to sell this house to have those be updated. We also want to update our kitchen a little bit. We have kind of a weird, outdated, chippy sort of backsplash in our kitchen that I haven't liked ever, but it hasn't been a priority to fix. We want to get white subway tile in there, which we actually have the subway tile already. We found it through a friend of ours on a job site. It was just extra, and they were perfectly good, and they were free. So we have those in our garage, and we're waiting to be able to tackle that project someday. From the same person, she also says, how long do you see yourself staying in that house? So probably the next few years at least. Right now, we are saving up to hopefully buy acreage and then build, or buy a home on acreage already built. We just have to see what our options are. We are very picky about location, extremely picky. Oh, there's a loud airplane going over. If you guys only knew the hoops that I jumped through to be able to even sit down and film this video. I actually have coffee just spilled on my duvet right now that I'm going to clean as soon as I'm done. The lighting has just been constantly changing. I couldn't get my microphone to work. When I was checking my files over here on my computer, I couldn't get my computer to work. It's just been one thing after another. So sorry if the lighting or the airplanes going over are really weird in this video, but it is what it is. I keep it real here. What was I even saying? Location. We're very picky about location. There's only a few spots that we want to live here in the Seattle, like north of Seattle area. And so we are willing to wait and just bide our time, because we do feel that if we were to find acreage and build, it would be our forever home. We would retire there. We'd have grandkids there. And so it has to work. We would be willing to move into a non-forever home, like a home like this where we expect to sell it. I would be willing to do that one more time, but we really do want to get firmly established in a really good spot, and that takes money, and that takes time, especially when you're picky about location. So I've had a lot of questions and comments, it might even be here in some of these questions, asking like, I've seen that, you know, you're becoming more successful as a YouTuber, and we know with that comes more income, and for that I'm very, very grateful. I don't talk about like specific numbers and things like that, but I have gotten to a point where this is just the real deal, and I'm so thankful for that. And the comments that I've gotten are like, your lifestyle hasn't increased. Like, you haven't just bought this big grand house, and you don't have these brand new vehicles like some YouTubers that I've seen who become successful. And it's not necessarily because I'm like trying to keep up this humble image. While there are certain luxuries or nice things that we could afford, and I'm very grateful for that, we would rather wait to see what the economy does and our own family does before we just take what we think our income could be moving forward and jump at the big expensive house and acreage and fancy new vehicles and stuff like that. So we are trying to be really practical. Honestly, I'm always a little taken aback by messages like these, and I know most of them come from just a totally just curious place, and that's okay. But for me, like I was saying, we're not trying to keep up some sort of humble image, and on the flip side, we're not going to be trying to have some sort of glamorous or prosperous image once we do get to the point where we are expanding our living space or the property that we own. It's not about image for me or for my husband. It's not about keeping up with the Joneses for us. Honestly, it's about keeping up with the Bennetts. It's about keeping up with our family and how it's changing and growing and how our needs are changing. And it's about using our finances as they've evolved over the years to provide what is going to be best for our family moving forward and for the long term. And as we have been getting rid of stuff, we've become more content in the space that we're in, because we are happier in the space that we're in. We don't have as much stuff to manage and to deal with and to wade through. So I don't feel any sort of itch to leave yet, except for having neighbors be so close. That's annoying to me. I'm literally looking outside right now at a neighbor's trampoline outside my bedroom window. And they're doing nothing wrong, but I don't like it. And we have neighbors really close to us in every direction. And I would like to be able to branch out from that. The fact that we even have a home to live in is something to be thankful for. But moving forward, when we are using our money as a tool to bring things into our life that will make us happy, that will provide for our family, and that will create the life that we want to live, we would like to someday get some acreage, build a bigger home, not the most grand, expensive, fancy home, something that works for us, that we can grow into, that has a little bit of extra space. If we were to have another baby, or if I was to expand my business and needed more space for that, homeschool our children, there's lots of dreams and desires and needs that we have moving forward, but we're not too impatient to get there. We want to wait a little bit and save up and do it just the really smart way. Will you be doing more coffee recipes videos? So I had a whole series where it was, the whole video was just a few coffee recipes, and they were so fun to put together. They took a ton of effort. Those videos and the what I eat in a day videos, oh my gosh, so much shooting, production, so much editing work and effort. And with my chronic illness flare-ups and also the focus that I was putting on just getting my house under control and pursuing a simple life, it just made sense for me to kind of pause that series. However, I haven't stopped sharing coffee recipes, because I will pop them into my Get It All Done With Me videos, where I take you along my day and I show you what I'm doing on my checklist and spending time with my kids, and it's just kind of a mishmash of things, kind of like a day in the life video, if you've seen those here on YouTube. So, and I have gotten a lot of questions just about like the direction of my channel and why I stopped making certain videos and what I plan to make in the future. And honestly, this has always been something that I have just left up to the individual season of my life. A lot of you are still here from back when you subscribed because I was posting pregnancy updates, and that was appropriate content for the time of life I was in back then. And minimalism and simple living and just sharing my life through that lens is the season that I'm in right now, and I've been loving it. I know a ton of you have too. My channel has only grown since I took this direction, and that as a businesswoman was a really good move for me, but I didn't know if that would happen. Like, it wasn't a business move for me to start decluttering my house. It was a like out of necessity I started decluttering my house, and since I'm already, you know, documenting my life in some ways here on YouTube, I thought I would bring you guys along for the journey, and I struck gold. It's what's really worked out on my channel, and I have such a passion for it. So I'm going to continue sharing that sort of thing until something else pops in my life and I share with you guys that for the season. It's why I chose to not title my channel according to what I share. I title it Natalie Bennett, and it's whatever Natalie Bennett is interested in or passionate about that is in the videos that I share on this channel. So there's that long answer for that simple question. And actually, I think that is a good place to stop it for this part 1. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing the answers to these questions. Be sure to follow me over on Instagram for the next time that I ask for Q&A questions. I'm going to say a quick goodbye here, but pick it up to answer some more questions for you guys in part 2. So thanks for spending a little part of your day here with me on my channel, and I'll catch you later.